What is up, my fire amigos? Welcome back to the channel for another Black Ops 6 Zombies guide. What I have for you guys today is the main quest on Terminus. Terminus main quest steps are relatively easy, but the boss fight can be a little tricky at times. So what I'm going to do is do the entire main quest from start to finish, have updated tricks for certain steps, and then on top of that, show the best strategies for you guys in the boss fight. Let's go ahead and get started with the class. So for the class, there are a ton of weapons you can use that are good for this Easter egg. I would recommend mostly meta choices. Meta weapons would be the GS45, a classic, the Strider 22 with the 3 burst ammo mod if you have it. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. We have the Maelstrom shotgun. That's another one we can use. Another one to use would be the Grakova pistol. That is another one we can use. Now let's go on to the augment section of the class. For augments I would recommend would be for Ether Shroud. We're going to start with that one. We'll do, for the minor augment, you want either the 2 charges or the extension. If you do 2 charges, that's perfectly cool. I have a solution for that, and if you do extension, I still also have a solution for that for later in the Easter egg step. But for the major augment, you definitely want Group Shroud over anything else. For stamina, you're going to want Free Faller and Hot Foot. For PhD, you're going to want Tribologist and PhD Slider. For Juggernog, you definitely want Probiotic, or if you really want to, you can use Reactive Armor. I think I was using Reactive Armor in my game, and it definitely saved me a couple times, so that's definitely helpful. And then for the minor augment, I would definitely put on Hardened Plates over Durable Plates. Speed Coal isn't that necessary, so I wouldn't run that, but if you really wanted to use it, definitely do Supercharge to charge your specials faster, and then reload quicker. Yeah, we're not going to be hitting the box too much. Let's go on to the gumballs. There aren't too many gumballs to use in this. Things I would run would be stuff like Arsenal Accelerator, Insta-Kills, Max Ammo, Free Fire, Full Power Keg, and in the boss fight, Near Death Experience, Phoenix Up, and No Orbit There. As for your equipment, you can run whatever you want, decoys, shock charges, stuff like that. Because like something along the lines of your equipment may come in handy later, but there's an easy way to get equipment in this Easter egg, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now let's go ahead and start up with the setup. The first thing, as always, is to get the Wonder Weapon, but I'm going to skip that for now and go on to the thing I was just talking about, the easy equipment. We're going to be talking about the Mega Stuffy Easter egg, but we're not doing the entire thing. We're not worried about Mega Stuffy itself, but rather the rewards for the animals. How the animals work in Mega Stuffy Easter egg is the order you collect them in will give you pieces of equipment that are very useful for you. It does not matter which ones you grab, as long as you grab them in general. The first animal you grab will always give you a shock charge. The second one will always give you a stim shot. Third one will give you a smoke grenade, so on and so forth. Now the reason I say this is because we're going to need the first 3. The first 3 we're going to grab is going along down the side to the PhD mine tunnels. When you enter the stamina up room, you're going to look in this locker to find the unicorn. On your way to the generator where Elemental Pop is, you enter the door, look to the right, and then look down, and you're going to see the monkey. Afterwards, you're going to go into the mine tunnels with PhD. You're going to look behind this wooden pallet here to the left of the gumballs, and you're going to see the elephant. Make sure to collect all 3 of those for the setup. Now let's talk about the Wonder Weapon. For the Wonder Weapon, we are first going to need to turn on the power and open up Pack-a-Punch. Once we have Pack-a-Punch open, we need to get dead wire on our gun. Does not matter which gun you have, as long as you have dead wire. When we have dead wire, go up to the Pack-a-Punch and activate the lift, and you're going to look for this shock box in this window here when you get up to it. When you see it, shoot it with the dead wire weapon, it'll go to another box. Shoot it with that weapon, it'll go to another box, so on and so forth. The goal is to get all 5 of these shock boxes shot and the trail they take you up until you get into the door it opens. Once it opens up, you can shoot the dead scientist in there that's trying to crawl out alive, and she'll give you a fob. Now, go into the room with the elemental pop, you're going to notice this briefcase. Taking the fob, you're going to open up the briefcase, is going to give you this device. Be careful, there will be vermin that come out when you open up this case. Grab that fob, go back into the laboratory, and then place it into this machine here. Now what we need to do is find 3 computers. The first one's close to stand-up right here. The second one's close to quick revive right here. And then the third one's at the docks right here. Once you interact with all 3 computers, go back into that room you opened up earlier and go to the machine you inserted the device into. There are going to be post-it notes of the numbers you just obtained, and the goal is to simply insert a 3-digit number by doing some math. Now, the equations on the board on the right here and the values on the left here are always the same every game. You just need to align the post-it notes. So for example, let's take my X value here. My X value here is in the very bottom column right in the middle. What we need to do is align them like a graph and to see what the point is. Starting with the left, that's your first digit value. That one is going to be 2. And then going down this bottom row, my X value aligns itself with 2, then 1, so my number will be 21 for X. Same thing goes for Y and Z. I'm just going to tell you this right now to save some time. My Y is 22, and then my Z value is 11. That's how this graph is going to work. Now I'm going to speed through this, what we need to do for this, and what we need to do is simple. Plug in the numbers into the equations up there, and then put in the numbers down here. So for example, X would be 2 times 21, which is 42, plus 11, and that will give us 53. So we need to type in the first number, 53. For the second one, we have 2z minus y, or 2z plus y minus 5, so we do the 2z plus y. Remember, z is 11, so we are going to do 2 times 11, which is 22, plus y, which is 22. That'll give us 44. Then minus 5 will give us 39. That will be the second number to put in. For the third one, we have y plus z minus x. Y is 22, z is 11, and then x is 21. So we're going to do 22 plus 11, which is 33, minus 21 will give us 12. If done correctly, you will have all 3 numbers flash green, and then you will be able to flip the rounds in order to get a coordinate.
Your stubbornness wins the day.
Multi-phasic resonator calibrated. Target located. Loading coordinates.
Once you have the coordinates locked in when the round is flipped, do not forget to pick up this device here that you put in the machine earlier. What we need to do now is go to the 3 islands around the map in the same order every game in order to fill this device with our amp. The first one's going to be Castle Rock Island, the second one's going to be Crab Island, and then the third one is going to be Temple Island. When we get to these islands, you need to find the color of orb it is and place the little doohickey underneath the orb. What needs to happen now is that the orb will shoot its energy to a zombie, you kill a zombie, you pick up that essence that it dropped, and then drag it all the way down to the orb. Now you'll be at walking speed, so you can easily just jump or train the zombies around and then get to it again. It will stay there for the entire time. Or if you get lucky enough, you can kill the designated zombie on top of the orb and the essence will be dropped there immediately. Once all 3 elemental orbs are done, your screen will flash white and you'll be able to pick up the amp charge for the Beam Smasher, which is the ammo cache. Once we have the ammo cache, go back into the laboratory to craft the Beam Smasher. Now let's go ahead and get started with the steps. The first thing we need to do is find one of our lovely Tentacle Traps. There are 3 total spawns that we need to look for when going for this. The first Tentacle Trap spawn to look out for would be next to Juggernaut. The second one and the third one are in the Biolab, one close to the ammo station as a part of the mine tunnels, one on the other side close to Speed Cola as part of the other set of tunnels. What we're looking for are 2 things. 1, a key card underneath the trap, and 2, one of the traps that has a busted out vent. If you have a trap that looks like this and it's a normal vent, that's not the trap you need. When we have that one, you need to activate the trap and use the Beam Smasher's beam into the center of it. What's going to happen is that the animal inside of the trap is going to spit out the key card you need to find Nathan. Once we have that said key card, take it all the way up to the top where Peck and Strauss are and give it to them. You need to wait a few moments and they'll tell you where Nathan is staying. He's staying in the biolab again, so you gotta go back down to the biolab. And then when you go up to this center console here, you just need to go up to his keypad and hold and interact with it. Doing so will reveal Nathan's face. However, we need to unlock him from his little safe here. This is a two-step process. The first one is the keypad itself. It's going to be asking for a 3-digit code. The first number of the 3 numbers can be found in the room with Quick Revive. In the room with Quick Revive, behind this metal grate here, you're going to notice that clock in the back wall. Now, in the game I'm showing you right now, my time on the clock was 3:23. What we're looking for is the hour hand specifically, which is just 3. The second thing is going to be a playing card. And in the mess hall, you're going to see this playing card tacked to the board. This can be ace through 9. For the last number, you're going to go into this area with the crafting table, and it's going to say amount of days since last injury, and it's going to be a random number. Same thing, 0 through 9. Now, with these 3 numbers, the order I just told you them in is going to be the order you need to punch them into Nathan. The first one next to Quick Revive, the second one in the mess hall, and then the third one in the area across from Juggernaut. Once we have all 3 numbers, though, we need to go down into this computer here and type them in, and then you'll be prompted to turn valves. Now, in co-op, there are 4 total and need to be turned at the exact same time. So give it a good old 3, 2, 1 and turn them. Although in solo, you just have to turn 1. Before turning these, I would recommend getting set up. Now, to make this little mid-scene boss a little easier, I'd recommend popping that insta-kill Gobblegum to increase damage to the amalgam. That's an HVT. Also, with your dead wire that's on your gun, it'll be helpful because the amalgam is weak to dead wire. Pretty simple stuff. All you need to do is kill Nathan, and when Nathan is killed, you can either watch or skip the cutscene. I'm just going to skip it because for people who don't want to be spoiled or have already seen it. But once Nathan is killed, though, you need to go underneath into the water, and directly under the bridge, you're going to find this yellow card here. Before going to the next area, I would recommend going into the bunk bed section with Juggernaut. You're going to look for the first animal you grabbed out of the 3 Mega Stuffy animals that I mentioned earlier. We're going to need that for the next step. Once we have the shock charge in hand, you're going to take a boat and go underneath the big carrier that's out in the water that's broken. Underneath, you're going to see the ladder that goes into the room we need to go in, but there are going to be a ton of parasites that'll be blocking the entry. Kill the parasites. They're not needed for this next section. When you climb up here, there are going to be 2 node connectors. Once you pick one up, you'll be set at a lockdown. Now, by default, you're supposed to defend yourself from a few waves of zombies. It could get very hectic in here. This is where the GS-45 would come in clutch. However, there's a nice little trick with that shock charge. When the door shuts, you need to wait exactly 2 seconds. And once the 2 seconds are up, throw the shock charge on the door, and it'll short circuit the door, stopping the lockdown entirely. Once that is done, you need to jump into the boat, and you take this node connector to 2 out of 3 locations. The first location is on the very edge of Crab Island, right here. The second location is going to be at the docks, right here. And then the third one's going to be in the sea caves with Speed Cola. It's going to be in this tunnel here. You need to look for the 2 that do not have a connector on them. The 2 connectors I got in my game were the one at the Crab Island and the one at the docks. Now, with these connectors, the moment you get to the connectors that are the ones you need to assemble, there will be a ton of zombies and 1 mangler. This is where 2 charges of Ether Shroud would be very, very nice. If you have the extension on, you could definitely use that and then pop the full power keg in order to get yourself another Ether Shroud. Since you can't carry 2 node connectors at the same time on the boat, you have to go back to the boat to pick up the second node connector and then put it on the little boat that you have to go to the second node connector. That was a mouthful. Once you have both of those built on, you have a very long set of dialogue with Sam, and she says that she will help you to pull off our plan and her plan. Now, for the next section, I would recommend being set up for boss fight because the next 2 steps will link together as one, and you will be on a time limit for both. For the setup, I was go ahead and start by going to the other 2 Stuffy animals from the Mega Stuffy quest and getting the 3rd one you selected. In my game, it was the elephant, so you can get your smoke grenade. If you have the extension on for 1 Ether Shroud charge, I would recommend crafting a 2nd smoke grenade. If you don't, keep the 1 smoke grenade and make sure you have 2 charges at this point. Keep those in mind. Now, let's go on into the next step. When the dialogue is completely finished between Peck, Strauss, and Sam, you can go to the guard station again and pick up a tablet to help hack 3 buoys. The first one is next to the ship, the second one is next to Temple Island, and then the 3rd one is just outside the docks. Once you activate one, you are on a 2-minute timer to deactivate all 3. You need to take a boat to all 3 and deactivate them. Now, you will be surrounded by parasites that will try to stop you, just keep that in mind. These are extremely buggy. I would recommend dropping into the water and going next to them to interact with them. If you drive into the ship, it might take you a little bit to kind of fumble with like interacting with the boat, interacting with the buoy, stuff like that. It's really, really finicky. And when you have all 3, your screen should flash white and or dialogue should appear. And then Modi will come onto the comms and say that she's going to activate Apocalypse Protocol, aka an island self-destruction. If this goes off, you will lose the game entirely. But they give you 5 minutes for this. For this next step, we need to defuse 3 bombs in the Biolab section. They're all centered around Melee Macchiato. 1 to the left, 1 to the right, and 1 above Melee Macchiato. When doing this step, you want to throw your smoke grenade into the corner so the zombies can't see you while doing this. If you have the extension augment, save it for one of like probably the last ones, or if you absolutely need it in order to get through to somewhere or to the bomb. If you do not have the extension augment for Ether Shroud, go ahead and just use the 1 smoke grenade and then time it so that the moment you activate Ether Shroud, you hold X on the bomb to stop it. Once all 3 bombs are taken care of, you'll be able to start the boss fight. Now for boss fight, I would recommend grabbing perks. Mostly you're just going to want Double Tap, Dead Shot, Jug, maybe Elemental Pop. Voltrade probably is a good option for ammo. PhD if you want to as well for better maneuverability. And definitely are going to want Quick Revive. When you're ready, go ahead and interact with this door that's to the left of Melee Macchiato in order to start the boss fight. Now the boss fight itself is split into 3 different phases. The first one is just going to be doing damage to him. The Kraken has 1 base attack, and that base attack is going to be a slam. Patient 13 will kill zombies for you, so if you just want to train the zombies and focus on him, that's perfectly fine. During this base attack, you'll have red weak spots underneath his arms. These are weak to Napalm Burst. Once he's done with the first phase of damage, he's going to give you just zombies only. I would recommend using the Striders and then Beam Smasher if you absolutely need to. Beam Smasher is good for saving ammo and slowing down zombies, so I would definitely have that in the boss fight during solo. Once all the zombies are done, the max ammo will spawn in. For the second phase, you need to shoot the Kraken in its mouth. Halfway through this phase, Patient 13 will grant himself immunity, and then you need to shoot his arms. His arms have yellow splotches on them that are weak to dead wire. Once you shoot those off, you could then focus on the mouth again, and when the phase is done, he'll go back into the water to mutate and start phase 3. But the intermediate phase is rinse and repeat. There's going to be a ton of zombies and manglers, and then 1 amalgam will spawn in at this point. For phase 3, the first weak point is going to be his eyes. You need to shoot all of his eyes on top. Now, also during phase 3, he'll have a wipeout attack. The only way to survive this wipeout attack is to go behind the barricades. If you're not fast enough, you will take it down. I did take 1 down during this. Another way to avoid it would be to go in the water. I think I got booped into the water by a mangler, and the only way I could get up was the ladder right in front of the docks where you usually run in front. Halfway through, when you shoot all the eyes off, he'll be weak again underneath the arms, but during this section, when he's weak like that, the Patient 13 will release its tongue into the center of the area. If you get grappled by this tongue, it is an instant game over. He will just swallow you whole. No way else around it. So I would recommend still staying on the edges while he's doing that. When Patient 13 has been given enough damage, the boss fight will end and you will successfully completed Terminus's main Easter egg. Thank you for watching. Peace out.